Today on the Daniel Baldwin Show, viewer mail and Christmas shopping. The bombardment has begun. Coming at you right now. Hey everybody, welcome to the Daniel Baldwin Show, and let's get right at it with viewer mail. Ed Bishop of Evansville, Indiana says, Daniel, why is it okay for the left to flip out over pardons when Biden pardoned people on his way out before some were even charged? Let me tell you something, Ed. Ed Bishop of Evansville, Indiana, ladies and gentlemen, asks a question that I have been posing to Democratic friends and Republican audiences alike for several months now. So let's review, shall we? One of the presidential powers is to be able to pardon people at their discretion. I'm not even going to get into the laundry list of over the years of people who have done political favors for their friends and so on. It's a power the president has. It's a pretty neat thing. You know, you're on your way out, most of them, and you turn around and you go, you know what? I'm going to let Lenny and Squiggy and this one and that one, and they're done. They're okay. They're coming out of jail. They're not going to be prosecuted, whatever the case may be. Now, of course, this was brought to light in the last administration under Biden because his son, a family member, and should you be allowed to pardon someone, you know, your brother, or should you be able to pardon your wife, you know, should you be able to, and this has gone on and been exploited, shall we say, by some people. And again, I'm not pointing my finger at the left or the right or who Trump is going to allow, in his first year to go and not, and what's the motive behind it. Just forget all that. It was just a hot topic when Biden pardoned his own son. Keep in mind, the thing that screwed Biden, Ed, is that Biden said he would not pardon his son. He had his press secretary go over and over with questions from news outlets and everything else at press conferences. No, he has no intention. He has said he will not pardon his son, blah, 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 blah. And of course, he pardoned him. That one didn't bother me. That one didn't bother me as much. I mean, if I'm given the political power over what he was accused of, I mean, again, it wasn't a serial rapist or, some terrible thing. So he pardons his own son. I would have pardoned my son. I would have said, you know what, I don't care. I don't think I would have said, I will never pardon my son. I would never do that, and built up all this BS that Biden built up and put himself in a terrible position to look like someone who wasn't being honest, and he fully intended on pardoning his son all along, which I believe is true. But again, I'm not faulting him for pardoning his son. I'm not. The ones that bothered me, and at the end of his question, Bishop says, Biden pardoned people on his way out before some were even charged. That sounds like a deal. So why are you pardoning someone, Anthony Fauci? Why would you pardon someone who, if what they're accused of, or could potentially be rumored to be accused of, would be genocide, for financial gain? So did Anthony Fauci okay viral vaccines? Did he have stock in the companies? Did his friends have stock? Did deals transpire between Biden administration and business people in the pharmaceutical area where they said, look, we're going to release this thing in Wuhan. We're going to get millions of people sick. We're going to kill millions of people globally. And guess what? You get this jab and you force people. I mean, we're not even talking about they misled people to think that they could take this snake pill, this medicine. No, they made people get it to keep their livelihood. They made military people get it, fully knowing that it could get them really sick and or even kill them by taking the jab. And you pardon that guy with no charges against him, just give him blanket coverage to say, hey, thanks a lot. That's what's enforcing more these rumors and these theories that people are on the take because they knew, oh, by the way, don't worry, Biden's got pardon power. Biden can pardon you. So just put it through. Just get it done. You'll make hundreds of millions of dollars like the rest of us, billionaires. Several, couple hundred billionaires were made during the COVID problem that we had. And it's starting to look more and more when you make moves like blanket pardons that it was an inside job. So I have to say, Ed Bishop, it's really, really ironic that you would hear people saying, hey, wait a second, Trump's misusing his power of pardoning, when the last guy who was under the weather intellectually, physically, he wasn't even the president, evidently, for most of the time that he was in office. They were auto-penning, but I mean, just the cover-up and all the stuff goes on and on and on. To be able to say with a straight face that the Democrats are upset with Trump misusing his pardoning power. This guy could be worse than Hitler if it's true. If he did knowingly allowed millions and millions of people to die, and we don't even know yet, what the algorithm is going to be for babies that are lost, autism that's been caused, the dementia and everything else in generations to go for introducing this shot. I mean, it's mind-boggling how bad it might have been to turn around and say, Trump's pardoning some drug dealers and it looks really bad, man. Like he's friends with those guys. I think his son Eric got some money. What the fuck are you talking about? You got guys on your list that he used this presidential power, which he might not even have known. Biden might not even have known what was going on. Somebody else that made the deal behind Biden's back while he was, drinking a Slurpee, not knowing what the hell was going on. Jill Biden was cleaning his ass because he was shitting himself in the White House. Yeah, it was that bad, rumors have it. It might have been that bad. He was gone. And for the debate, they didn't jack him up with enough B12 to get him through it. And we saw what was really going on. So how dare Jeffries or any of these other guys, Shifty, Schumer, Pelosi, all of them ganging up another subject. This Donald Trump guy is pardoning people. We pardoned a guy on the Democratic side that may have killed millions of people, knowingly killed them. Now again, are we ever going to really find that out? Are we ever going to prosecute this guy? Is he protected by presidential pardons? But yes, we're never going to know. We're never going to know unless Trump and Patel and people go after him and they reverse this somehow, thinking that the president Biden was incapacitated and didn't actually sign the order. I mean, so there are some avenues, but what's really more likely to happen is it's going to be like so many of the people in history before, they're going to ride off into this, like Epstein. Epstein's not dead. You fucking stupid. Epstein's not dead. Oh, the cameras are turned off for 1 hour on Rikers every night to recalibrate them. And Tommy, come here for a minute. You're the camera guy, aren't you? Yeah, ask Tommy. He loads them up. The batteries run down. God, it's a pain in the ass. So we decided we'll do it at night. So for an hour, we can't really see that cell. And, he hung himself. He was really upset. He thought that Maxwell was going to tell on him, and he knew he did some bad stuff. And Bill Clinton and Hillary, and come on, man, really? But here's the thing. Let me just close this portion of this, Ed, on this part. We're so fucking stupid in this country sometimes. It's gotten to a point that they on either side, they don't even care whether you buy it. They don't even care whether you buy how stupid the story is. It's like talking to your kid, and I'm not talking even a teenager that's formulating elaborate ways to make up stories to cover themselves, or some kid that has strayed away from the family circle and from God, and he's doing really bad things. I'm talking about a 5-year-old kid going, no, he told me to. He told me to, and then he drove a car to the store and got candy. And there's chocolate all over the kid's face, and you see the wrappers right over there, and you're looking at him going, and you're laughing and you're videotaping it and putting it up because it's cute, and he's all jacked up on the candy, and all the evidence is there, and the kid goes, yeah, Frank drove me to the store. Frank's 6. He's the kid's friend. He's a 6-year-old. who took the Cadillac and drove it up and used a charge card and signed for the candy. And like, you hear the story and you go, well, we know that didn't really happen. And, it's just the kid trying to cover from it. That's how stupid, that's how they look at us now. Seriously, I want to repeat this to you, Ed. I want to repeat this to you because you asked this question. And I'm more amazed that we as a society, he was in the book room depository and he took an Italian bolt action rifle and through the trees made a shot, a headshot, and his head went back towards the ball. They don't even fucking care anymore. They don't even care anymore. They got some story, they put it together, yeah, we were on the moon and, we ran around and the president called them on a regular phone from the White House. And you go, okay, is some of it true? Is all of it true? Is any of it true? Is any of this true? Yeah, there isn't a shot, not a shot that the cameras went off. And they don't care. They got a room full of guys and girls that sit here and throw shit out at us every day. Like a situation, like a war room. It's like, I remember I did a sitcom with Valerie Bertinelli, and we would sit around and we'd read the script every day. Excuse me. We would read the script, and all the writers would sit around us, and they would listen to the lines, and you could tell which writer wrote which joke because he'd start cracking up. He was, and then I told her, no way! And then, one guy sitting in the corner laughing. He'd be like, okay, he wrote that line. But they listened to it, and then they would tool it, they would refine it, that this didn't work, that worked, and they took notes. And then you would rehearse what they gave you for the day. And the next day, or even that afternoon, the script changed. And it just kept changing and changing until finally, supposedly by the end of the week, it was ready to go and perform in front of a live audience while they filmed it. And I was taken aback by how interesting this process was. I didn't know how they did it. I had never done a sitcom before. And I watched it. I watched the process every day. And I tell you now, on my life, on my honor, I will tell you that there's rooms of people that go, okay, listen, we got to get them out of here. We got to get them off this subject. Not even just to defame the president, not even just to, or on the other side, to defame candidates or senators on the Democratic side. Both sides do it. Both sides do it, for sure. But they sit there and they just come up with shit. I got an idea. Why don't we plant a rumor that they were with Putin and Putin got into, changing the outcome of the election. We'll call it Russiagate, we'll call it, and they come up with titles and they feed it to the news outlets that they have. They slowly spread it around until it becomes an issue. Obama said an interesting thing. He said, if you throw enough sludge on it, enough mud on it, if you just keep it up and keep it, it starts to catch on. If you just bombard it, so there, and it's not just to get at the other person, make them less electable or less popular or whatever, or for financial gain. It's to divert you from seeing what's being voted on this week. What are we going to, P. Diddy, let's blow that up. Let's, make him out to be the devil, and again, I'm not saying any opinion on Sean Combs or any of what he did or taking anything away from the women who claimed, or none of it. I'm just saying they can rise the level of the fire and make that pot boil. Shooting out the top of the pot, the water's bubbling over, because they have the power and the connections to put that prominently in the news, or a headline that goes with another famous person. Beyonce Knowles says about some of the parties. LeBron James, blah, blah, blah. And they got a picture of LeBron with his arm around, and you're thinking, is LeBron James in on it? And mislead you to know that there was a vote that went on about what to do with healthcare or something else when impeachment proceedings in front of the House, or whatever. And that's nowhere near as interesting as how many vials of lube P. Diddy had in his house, the vats and gallons of free-for-all sex that went on. It's all an illusion. It's all an illusion. And that's the part that fascinates me more. It's not even elaborate anymore. They just don't care. Whether you can see what they're saying is absolute bullshit. They don't care. They don't care. They can take a guy on camera, wrap a thing around his neck and blow the back of his shirt out, his throat wide open in front of his 2 little kids and his wife on essentially national television with, super rehearsed veteran black operations, Israeli commander force type guys, black ops guys, Navy SEAL types, MI5, these guys were over the table. One guy takes the thing, one guy takes the thing off. I mean, within 5 seconds of the time Charlie Kirk was shot, with surgical precision, the operation was over, and he was dead. So then they got him, they're going into the operating room, and they got, no. And you can watch it. You can see the shirt move and all this stuff. And they got some kid up on a rooftop picking his ass with his thumb in his ass. And they told me, get up there now, make sure, and I want you to watch because we think something might happen. Who knows what they told that kid? He was a shill. He was set up. Like the kid who shot the insurance guy in New York City, Oh my God. He was probably sitting in a 7-Eleven, whoever it is that really shot that guy. They expect us to believe it. They shove it down our throat. And they bombard us with images and we're going, oh, that boy, what a great shot. His dad was in the military or he was a police officer. And that's why, he could shoot from that distance and perfect shot in the throat. Come on, Jesus. And even now, so let's say at the beginning, I'm going to continue on this for a minute, and then I'm going to go into what we're going to do the show on today. Let's say for a minute, we believe that in the beginning. I mean, listen, kids climbing down, they got all this stuff, perfect footage of him standing up, running, gun gets miraculous, no gun in his hand when he's climbing down. The images that they showed us, the images that they said was him. Here he is climbing off the roof on his way over to the wooded area where we found the gun. One problem, he doesn't have the gun. So he sat there and broke the gun down? Or can you do a timing of where he was when he was climbing off the building to clearly know he didn't stop to break a gun down? So where's the gun? They made a mistake. They didn't calculate carefully that in that sack there was not a rifle. Did he break it into a few pieces and throw it in the sack? He's running from just blowing the throat out of this guy. And he sat there and broke the gun down. And then, they miscalculated. And the gun happens to be left, in this wooded area where there was a cop who was on patrol, sat there, and the kid came back. I mean, they take this meal, and instead of letting you chew it and they jam it down your throat right away. We got him. We got him. His father even said he did it. That's not what happened. But as we break it down and then we start to see the videos, where's the FBI's report on the forensics? Where's the ballistics on the bullet? Where's the bullet? The bullet hit. I shot a video for this show to show you what happens when a high-powered bullet hits a pork loin roast and how it blows the back of it out. And the bullet lodged in his throat. This is what they're telling us from that rifle. There's not a chance. Have you ever seen this gun shoot a deer? At least an exit wound, like looks like the Holland Tunnel out of the back. No. But again, that's not what I'm talking about, Ed Bishop of Evansville, Indiana. What I'm telling you about is they don't care if you show that is absolutely physically impossible. They don't care. This is their story. We're not going to protect the scene where the crime took place with yellow tape and go over it and dust and look at it and check the angles. No, they took cement. They took cement and covered over and cemented down the crime scene. We haven't seen the ballistics of the bullet in his throat. I mean, they have control over all that. This is a homicide. No. We haven't heard much at all about the kid. He never shot anything. Did they do a powder residue test in his hand? All the standard stuff you see on those cool forensic file shows and all these shows that are on TV? None of it. And this poor schmuck kid is going to get sent up the river when I'm sure he's sitting there now with his lawyer going, I didn't shoot anybody. Like, what the hell? I went to a couple of meetings and this guy kept calling me that I met from Washington and he said, listen, man, you can help us out. And the kid, Who knows what drugs they gave him, whatever, but that kid never shot anybody. Nobody. But again, remember, I'm gonna move on right now. This is what, after all the video evidence, after the surgical precision of that operation, of the handoff of the tape, the guy clicking his camera on his glasses, and all Israeli guys, supposedly. He had some Israeli security team. We haven't seen one up. So remember now, if I'm going to the Oscars, I'm Eddie Murphy, back in the day when Eddie was the biggest thing since, sliced bread. And Eddie has a security team. Car in front, car in back, 2 agents inside, armed, body armor, all of it. We'd be able to find out who the manager, the agent, or whoever is the head of Eddie's security team hired. What are their names? Where are they from? What are their drugs? They'd all be registered to carry weapons. I mean, these are a security team hired to protect Kirk. I haven't seen one of them interviewed. I haven't seen one facial recognition done. They're all gone. They're all gone. And this is what they want us to believe. That, Ed Bishop of Evansville, Indiana, is what makes me sad. Investigative reporting, stuff that's obvious to us, doesn't matter anymore. They don't even care if you buy it. They're on to the next one. So I was on my phone yesterday, the devil, the telephone, the cell phone, and I'm getting bombarded. I mean, bombarded. Every time you make a purchase on Amazon or whatever, you're registered in some way, your number, your email, and it's Christmas time. And I was thinking about, it being just a couple weeks before Christmas, and just how much money we're talking about here, how much time is spent. Let me read this to you. Let's get into the Christmas feel first, shall we? Christmas is a major annual festival, primarily celebrated on December 25th, commemorating the birth of Jesus Christ for Christians, but also observed secularly worldwide with traditions like gift giving, feasting, and festive decorations, blending religious significance with cultural celebrations rooted in ancient winter solstice festivals. There, my friends, is a little history. We are celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. Whether it was what day, it doesn't matter. All of us as Christians around the world, those who believe in Jesus Christ, this is a major, major day for us to give thanks and celebrate the birth of our Savior, period. On my phone, buy it now, get it now, sale number, this, that, don't forget, don't miss it, don't miss this opportunity, don't miss this sale. Almost like not threatening. It's not a threat, but you're tempted to click because you're thinking to yourself, well, it is important to me. My kids are teenagers, the 2 girls, Avis and Finley, and I'd rather hear from them. My wife, who is way better than me at all this stuff, she manages all of it, and so I remember up until I met, I would kind of wing doing that myself and maybe get a couple of suggestions from the kids. But what the hell do I know about what to buy a 17-year-old clothes-wise, I know their sizes because they tell me that. And then I look at stuff I think is cool. But now I've got a younger, much more hip, knows better than me wife who turns around and goes, just ask them what they want. Why wouldn't you want to put under the tree exactly what they want? They still get to unwrap it. We'll get a list. We'll pick out some. And I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Duh. So I just let her do it. And I let her do it because she's so much better at it than me. And it takes it off my plate. But now I have a 2-year-old son. And so I like buying stuff for him. I like trying to figure out whether, it's age appropriate for 4 to 6, or whatever the window is that it says that it's age appropriate for. And I have been able to prove and disprove those numbers for 2 years now, that my son is capable of taking things that are for, at 1 that were for 3-year-olds, that are only approved for 3-year-olds. And my wife would say, why are you getting him that? It says that that's not age appropriate until he's 3. And I go, watch. And sure enough, the basketball hoop, he walked right up. He was walking at 9 months. He could stuff the basketball. He could throw the basketball a little bit. By 1, he was in the basketball. So I get him stuff that I know because he's more physically advanced. I get him stuff. But again, my wife's point is that if we took a bagel or an apple and wrap it, he's just excited about ripping open the wrapper. He sees the other kids going under the tree, opening up, oh, a new sweater, oh, new shoes, oh, those earrings are great, and he opens it up and he goes, apple, and he's all excited. He's throwing the apple at the tree. And so she's right about that, but it's more for me. I fully admit it. I buy the gifts. I don't care what I get. I don't care. If I want something, I'll go right on and order it. It's in my office right now. I don't really care. My wife buys me things. I love her. I'm, excited to open it to see what she thought of and blah, blah. And, but by far, the most important purchase for me is the stuff I get my wife, because I, as the husband, want to be right, want to be fulfilled by the facial expression that she makes when she opens it. And I can tell. I can tell. She's not good. She's not a liar. She's not a phony. She's not. So she'll look and she'll go, oh, thank you. And if she doesn't smile when she looks at it, if she doesn't go like a little, she's not overly, expressive. She keeps it. Everything is kept close. The cards are kept very close to her vest. But I can tell. She's my best friend, so I can tell. So if I get her something, here's the Givenchy scarf and blah, blah, and she'll look at it and she'll go, oh, thank you, baby. If she doesn't go, baby, or something that's a little bit of a higher note or something, those few gifts, because she can also just get whatever she wants. Those few gifts matter to me most of all of it, because I want the time that I spent looking. I want the dress. I want the shoes or the necklace or whatever it is. I want it to get that look I'm looking for, which is satisfying to me because it means I know her. It means that I hit something in her that I know she's going to say, wow, that was really thoughtful. I really like that. And I don't know many women in life that their husbands can shop for clothes for them or shoes for them or whatever. I can. And I've had a few where she was like, and that's okay, you miss sometimes. But when you're right, and when she throws the dress on and we go to an event, I have purchased the shoes and the dress, and the whole bit for my wife to go to things, and she's gone, wow, baby, thank you. And that's a win. That's a win. That's a great Christmas for me, okay? Christmas gift giving blends pagan winter traditions like Rome's Saturnella and with Christian customs honoring the Magi's gifts to baby Jesus, solidified by figures like St. Nicholas and later commercialized with gift giving, shifting from St. Nicholas Day to Christmas Day in many cultures, especially after the Reformation. So we had this St. Nicholas Day, and then we kind of shifted it over and say, hey, let's do this Christmas Day. And this is kind of where the gift giving came from globally on Christmas Day. I find that interesting, but I also find the pressure. Back in the day when I was more involved, getting stuff from my family members, buying from my mother and father, all that stuff. But there was a lot of, you're kind of under the gun. You could kind of blow it off and get a blender, and that kind of stuff. And my mother would be, oh, the blender makes a weird noise. Thank you, honey, and mom was cool with it, I wasn't buying my mother, boots or a coat or something. I might have got her something like that. And I think she would have just been happy, but I didn't have to be as accurate, as precise. Yes, Christmas is a massive global business, driving huge spikes in retail decorations, travel, and services, becoming one of the most crucial selling seasons for retailers, with consumer spending reaching hundreds of billions of dollars in countries like the US and fueling industries from electronics and fashion to artificial trees and elaborate light displays. I hadn't really thought about that when I started researching the show today and yesterday. I hadn't thought about how much is spent on the decorations. Think about it. I've got a bin in the storage room. And again, my wife kind of manages all that. I take the tree, I carry it up, I put it together. We have a tree decorating, which is a fun tradition. But managing where all the stuff is kept, and I carry it downstairs and my wife goes, no, I'm gonna put this here, where it's accessible. She's just much more organized than me. But over the years, the number of trees that I've purchased, natural ones, fake ones, the decorations, the lights, the tinsel, every year, you don't save the tinsel that goes out with the tree. I don't put that in a bag. I just buy another 4 tinsels. And usually there's some new bulbs that we see, and we go to the Christmas tree decoration section of Walmart or Target. And these are all things that I love to do with my wife. But I look at how much money over the last 40 years, it's been 40 probably, of my buying. And it's tens of thousands of dollars probably that I've spent on all of it. Just the decoration, the house, the lights out front, the wreath on the door, I don't know how many tree stands I've bought, as we've gone from natural Scotch pine, this pine, cleaning up the tree, the where's the rug thing, the Christmas blanket that goes under it that you put how much wrapping paper and tape and ribbons and bags and the little fancy wrapping paper, that you stuff in the bag, and you gotta have, you have to have, blue and yellow and very vibrant colors, that you stuff this paper inside the bag. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I could wrap it in newspaper. You're getting a gift. No. It has to be done a certain way. The psychology of Christmas shopping involves emotional drivers like nostalgia, joy, and the warm glow of giving, mixed with cognitive biases, forecasting errors, scarcity and effect, and social pressures, FOMO tradition, that marketers exploit, leading to impulsive buys and overspending and stress. Despite the shift towards valuing meaningful experiences based on gifts over pure discounts for some shoppers, I have to tell you that I hadn't given a lot of thought to how much strategy goes into this, how the wording of certain things that came up on my phone, because now I'm getting bombarded. 40 text messages a day and emails of, listen to this, don't miss out. This is your last chance. 50% off until, and so I look at that and I go, am I about to buy a $500, $700 pair of boots? And if I open this app right now, because it's from a shoe place or from the actual type of the company that makes the boot that I know my wife likes, and I'm that specialized that they're sending me those, and then I'm going to save $350. Let me tell you something. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what your budget is for Christmas. I grew up in a house where my father was a school teacher with 6 kids. Saving $350 off a $700 pair of boots, I'm not an idiot. I'm doing that. I will go from one store to another store, and my wife's the same way. No matter how successful, Notre Dame law school grad, and she's an attorney, and she'll go, the milk at Target, we're buying 3 half-gallons of milk and a couple other things. And if I go to Kroger, it's one cost. If I go to Publix, which is right up the street, it's another cost. If we go to Target, it's way less. We drive to Target. We do. It's too embedded in us, wasting the money. And that's not to say that we don't do some elaborate stuff sometimes where it's just, for us, there's one store we go to for their hot food section because it's better than the other supermarket. So we'll go up the road further, spend the money on the gas to get this because of the quality. So we'll do that. But saving $350 by clicking something on my phone, I'm in. I'm doing that. Givers often buy what they like, underestimating what recipients truly want, says this article, Pop Neuro. So I'm looking at the psychology of buying. I'm looking at how the marketers lure us in to hit and open that app and to seduce us into buying. So I'm looking at something, and I really had to look at this of the gifts that I got this year, because I'm pretty much done with my shopping. We don't spend a tremendous amount of money on each other. We don't buy each other, because my wife and I are the types that when we're away or we're out and about, she'll look at that and she would just buy it for me. So, or I would buy it for her. So we don't need Christmas to do that. but we're buying things. Think about that statement. We're buying things that we like for the person that we're buying them for. I would say we like in my case. I can look at a dress and I can imagine my wife in that dress, but I'm looking at the dress from what I know of her and what she likes, and what I've learned by looking at her wardrobe, what I've learned. So I might also like it, but I'm definitely not buying it just because I like it. Because if I bought it just because I like it, I don't know if she'd wear any of it. So shopping is highly stressful and often leads to debt, with many Americans overspending, notes this Pop Neuro article and this Pat article. So people will go in order to try to either impress or satisfy or into debt, financial duress, in order to make somebody else happy. I don't think I'm doing that. I mean, I'm not putting myself in a position where by getting and having the Christmas, we set limits, we're smart about what we do. So that doesn't apply to me, but other people actually spend more money than they should, putting themselves at risk in other categories for the months following Christmas, like paying off charge cards and doing all that stuff. And that's sad. That's sad, man. The fact that you keep the lights on and you pay the mortgage and you do, especially when it comes to your children, that they might go without so you could buy them a toy or something that's probably a little bit out of your league or out of your range. That's not smart. Marketers use classic holiday imagery to evoke feelings of joy and connection, tapping into childhood memories to sell products. I think that could seduce me. And these are all, I looked up marketing influences and facts of what those people that are selling these products try to do to you. What are they trying to do to you psychologically, emotionally, for the visual effect and attraction to it? There's a whole science. They're spending billions of dollars on trying to figure out how to get you to click it and buy it. You and 2 million other people, for particularly stuff online. But even when you go into a department store. So if I see something, I have to admit this part of this piece. If I see something that reminds me of my dad, if I see something that reminds me of stuff about my mom, my best friend is Deasia, and I'll say to her, "Oh, baby, that reminds me so much. My mom used to make, or my mom used to do." Like when we dress the tree, I mean, that throws me back all the way deep into my childhood of all my brothers and sisters running around the house. When we open the gifts, that, not as much as it did 20 years ago, 25 years ago, but particularly when this year, I'm really looking forward to watching Bat. I'm really looking forward to watching my son. I'm really looking forward to being on the couch with my arm around my wife and watching this little boy just glow with excitement, ripping the packaging off of something silly, a Nerf ball. Like it won't matter what it is. It's the process. That part taps into an emotional line that goes all the way back to my childhood. So yes, I could say that this strategy definitely affects me. It applies to me. Limited time offers and the pressure to participate in traditions create urgency, triggering fear of missing out, FOMO, and hurried decisions, according to the article. So I will say that I usually just skip it and erase it off my phone because there's so many of them. But when it says limited time 50% off and it's from a company, I see in the heading from who texted it to me, and I go, "Ooh, I like their stuff." I love their stuff for the kitchen. I love that. I try to buy more personal stuff that's not house stuff. But I also am somebody that's conscious of what we might need, like technical stuff, electronic stuff, stuff that might come in handy for my wife and I using. And she's much more technically sound than me, but I'm learning from her, and I go, "Ooh, maybe I should get that. Maybe we should have one of those." Maybe. And so when it's from a company that there's a threat that I'm going to miss out, I mean, it's masterful how they use this stuff to pique our interest and almost the fear. I'm fearful if I don't open this, I might miss out. And then if I end up wanting to buy it later and I don't buy it now and I could have got it for 50% off, like, it's a $1,200 item, you know what I mean? Warm glow of giving. Donating or buying gifts triggers dopamine, creating positive feelings that reinforce generosity. We're bad at predicting the future, happiness, overestimating how good gifts will make us feel better, leading to impulse purchases. That also applies to me a little bit. I will look at something, and again, I said, I'd be lying to say to you that when I buy something that my wife wears within a week, I know she really liked it. I know she did. When I see that look on her face, when we see the look, my wife goes ahead and picks out the right stuff for the teenage daughters, and I see them look at it, even if they played a role in it, she got it right, she got the size right, she got the color right, she got the thing they wanted, or she added something in that they didn't expect they were getting. And it can be like silly stuff for a teenage girl, but my wife knows, and she gets it, and I see them squeal and look over and go, "Thanks, D," but I go, "Way to go, baby." That does make me feel good. I didn't realize that it was releasing dopamine in me, and that it was there was a physical response, a biochemical response in me that was attached to it. But I can see that. I can see how it makes me feel better to see people that I love get something that they really want. But I'll tell you, for me, honestly, of all the things, I mean, unless you're getting me a brand new car I've always wanted, or just something that's way out there, having no one use their phones one day a week, going out to a meal with my wife, like we do this fun thing together where I find like a boutique hotel, that kind of stuff, where it's time we're spending together. To have 1 week a month, and be 12 times a year, go stay at some cool little boutique restaurant hotel in downtown Atlanta, or we're on the road and we go somewhere. One of those nights we stay, in just a really cool place, or have a great meal with no cell phone use. Leave the phones in the car. Take a day where you just go back, because I can remember clearly when there were no cell phones. I can remember, and I see how I get baited into it. Writing a card to someone and pouring some of your love and your thoughts into that card. We don't read and we don't write anywhere near what we did when I was 20, 30 years old. We just don't. So those types of things, something that took time for you to think about, right? And maybe this doesn't do it for you. Maybe you'd just rather have, the coat, whatever. That's okay. But writing a poem, recording a video and sending it to the person, just to tell them how much they mean to you, or, "Hey, I was thinking of you." It's funny, if you sat down a few days before and made 10 one-minute videos to 10 close friends from, those 2 or 3 people you really do stay in touch with in college, your mother-in-law, some of your siblings that, you just don't talk to them like you used to. I have nieces and nephews, to say, "Hey man, I just wanted to take time to say to you, I miss you. I hope everything's going well for you. I know we don't, spend as much time talking, but I wanted you to know, I still think about you and you're on my heart, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Praise God." That kind of thing. What are you going to send that niece? What are you going to send them that, how much does that matter if they open up and go, "Oh my God, Uncle Daniel got me." But if you sent them a video, again, these are things that take a little time, but they're really, really valuable. They really are. A voicemail, a voice message, so they hear your voice too. Those are the kinds of things that, being creative and taking the time, because it's the one thing. I'm 65 years old now, and I look at how much time do we have. Do I have the national average is 79, I think, in the U.S. That puts me 14 years away from the average death in this country. Will I outlive 79? Yeah, there's a very good chance that I'm gonna going to go. This year is a very focused year for me. Things are coming that are so significant to my life as I continue to tool and hone my personal relationship with God, and the lessons that I've learned from my wife about marriage and what really matters. And I have a 2-year-old son, so I need to look at my body, look at my health, take all these things much more seriously, because I see on Facebook and some of those things, so many of my friends are passing away, are moving on, are transitioning. And it's a little scary. It's a little scary to think that, I mean, eventually we're all gonna go, but can I make it? My mom just made it to 92. Could I make it to 92? Could I make it to 100? What a great, goal to have. And what will the quality of my life be at 95, Well, if I take care of myself now, I see other 95-year-old people, walking and slowly running marathons, for God's sake, so it's possible. You just have to break out of some of these behaviors that we learned when we were younger that are no longer acceptable for your health. So that's the show for today. I wanted to tell you about making a gratitude list and pointing that list of people that you're grateful for and reaching out to them, which is far more important and a better gift than trying to buy them something for under $30 and sending it to them. Make a video and tell somebody that you love them. That's special. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much, God, Lord Jesus Christ. We love you. We thank you for your guidance. We thank you for your protection. We thank you, Lord. Praise God that you're there for us. And as we get closer and closer to celebrating your birth and putting on Christmas Day our lives in perspective, as we live in the shadow of your greatness and your love, we ask you, Father, to help us shine. Help us shine and give and love in the name of Jesus Christ over this Christmas break. Amen. So there you have it. We're going to end with a prayer. And let me throw into, I always forget to say this, some episodes I don't say it at all, but thank you for watching the show. Thank you for writing me on TikTok and all the different sites. Your opinions and your thoughts and your questions. And if you could hit follow, if you could subscribe to the show, if you could share the show and like the show, it helps us in being able to make more shows. I promise you when I tell you this, I have never made a dime doing the show. I never have. When I did stuff, for ESPN, or I did stuff for Fox, and I did stuff I was paid, I was compensated. I don't make any money doing this. I don't make money because there's costs. And I have, I don't know if he wants me to mention his name, but I have a dear friend. I'll ask him if I can give him praise and thanks in India that helps edit the show. And he's just such a blessing in my life. And I'd love to be able to give him something, for all the work that he does. But, it's important, the message, I think. It's important to hear that there's other people out there that think like you, that look at stuff and don't just buy it because it's being told to us. So we're more of a rebel type of place, this show, and I want to hear what you think. I want to get this so that, we have a few cameras and I can have guests on a monitor or have people in the studio. I'd like to do that. I would like to do that, but that costs money. And so, and again, I'm not going to sit here and say to you, if you could subscribe. Subscription and following is a financial question. So I'm not sitting here going, oh, thanks, pal. I'm sitting here saying we could reach more people. We could get our opinion. We could get regular people on the show. We could get people you want to see on the show. You could write in, you could have elaborate questioning of them, write in things you want. When I say, I'm going to have Josh Brolin on the show. I'm going to have one of my brothers on the show. I'm going to have this athlete on the show. I have access to do that. I got to build the show up, and that comes if you help me do it. And I think we can do that together and expose some stuff that goes on that's complete crap. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you in a few days. God bless you.